Okay, I'm back here, y'all. My apologies. I am getting us back on track. I lost connection and I want to get us back on. Okay. It's a 1 o'clock special edition. Let's see here. Let's send it to where we go. Some of these groups that I'm adding, I'm gonna let them go, guys. They don't really rock with me. They don't really rock with me. Let's see. All right, I think I just did it right this time. I sent it over to the messenger group. Now I'm sending it over to the page, to the Wyatt Live page. I'm sending it over to YouTube as well. And sending it to a few groups, the rerun of it. My apologies. I will get this thing right. All right, I think we're good. I think we're good here. Some people said they still seen me over there at the other on the other spot. My apologies, y'all. Let's try to get this thing going right this time. Let me see something here. All right. Let me see who all we got here. Bear with me. We're gonna get at it. All right. All right, there we are. Looks like E made it back. Let me say what's up to the few people here so you'll know that I know that you're here. I see McConnell is in the building. David Herring is in the building. MJ Smith is in the building. Sabrina, we're back. Yes. Brenda Early, what's good? David Herring, what's good? Emmanuel Livingston, what's good? It's all about Noel. What's good? Sean D. Nutter is good. We're good. He says, we're back. I'm back. Yes. Nettie Worshman, what's good? Happy Friday. AP, we're back. Yes. What's good with you, AP? All right, so I'm back. We're back. I apologize. You know, we get these connection errors every once in a while, and I can't do anything about it. Sometimes it'll let you know that some people can see it, some people can't. I think it's Angela Kennedy, and she's over on Facebook. Excuse me, she's on YouTube. She's usually on Facebook, so that threw me off a little bit. What's good with everybody today? 1 p.m. show. E-Man, are you still here? I just need to know because I need to know if you're coming on at 3 o'clock so I can let the people know. How's your schedule looking before we get started? So I'll know how to, manage the time and do what I need to do. And also I can let the people know that you'll be on if you're going to be on or not. It is Friday, y'all. It is a great day. MJ Smith says, blessings, Wyatt. No, blessings to you. Blessings to you. Let's share them. Let's share the blessings. Emmanuel says, I'm here. I'll be in around 3. That means he'll be here about 3:15 or 3:17 when he says I'll be here around 3. That's my man. Yeah, check out Emmanuel Livingston at 3 o'clock, right after the Wyatt Live 1 o'clock edition today. I'm going to pass the torch over to him. I'm not quite sure what he's going to talk about. I haven't talked to him today. But one thing I'd like to mention is yesterday's show. This is not a to be continued unless you want it to be. But yesterday we had some, differences of opinion of how fathers should deal with their sons. I think that people really went off and kind of, I don't think they judged the situation by its severity. Everybody jumped on the dad yesterday. Okay. Everybody jumped on the dad yesterday. And they wanted to say how crazy he was, how abusive he was. And I gave everybody yesterday on the show a homework assignment, if you want to call it that. Tristan Saunders, what's good? That's my little nephew, y'all. Cleveland boy. I'm going to claim him anyway. Anyway, everybody jumped on the father. Everybody jumped on the old man because of how he handled his son, but never took in consideration his son was wilding. His son was wilding in an area that was no coming back if he lost him. It's hard to look, once you get out in these streets and you get street cred and you get numbers and dings on you, It's very difficult to pull your kids back in from that. It's very hard once your kids get an appetite for the streets and they start making money and doing certain things. It's very hard to bring them back in. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's very difficult to bring dudes back in from the streets. I'm just being honest. And the daddy did what he had to do the way he knew how to do it. That's my opinion. Do I think he did the right thing? Absolutely not. That's not my tactic. But I don't have a son that's on Instagram or Facebook posing with guns and drugs and all that nonsense. I don't have that. So it's not fair for me to say what I would have done. I can Monday morning quarterback it. I could sit here and talk about, oh yeah, I would have talked to him. I would have never put my hands on him. I don't know how many times he had this conversation with his son. I don't know how many times he didn't told him, don't get out here doing this. I don't know how many father-son moments they've had. Evidently, it got to a point where the father did not only had to prove a point to the son, he had to prove a point to the guys that he was talking, his sons that he's been dealing with and talking to. So let me ask you guys, because Emmanuel, I seen that you made a comment about what the daddy should have did. Or you didn't really say it like that, but I got a vibe for how you felt about it. All my old heads, who remember getting a what? Has anybody, I said this yesterday on the show for those that may have missed it. Has anybody ever gotten a whooping outside in front of their friends? I know they don't really do that shit these days. They don't really do that now. But has anybody ever gotten a whooping outside in front of their friends? Have you ever seen a mother grab their son or their daughter up right where the son or the daughter is acting a fool? Have you ever seen that before? Now, let me ask you this for my people that look like me. And I'm sorry, I got to say this. Some will understand, even white people will understand where I'm coming from because they've heard it before. Have you ever heard, have you ever seen a white person put their kid on timeout at the store somewhere? You know what I'm saying? Like, little Johnny, go sit down while we here shopping at the Kroger's or whatever. Go sit your butt down when you're on timeout. I'm telling your dad when you get home. And what do we say? Little Johnny is a little something else, boy. His mama need to whoop his ass. How many of y'all didn't say that? And when you say it, you mean he need an ass whooping right now, right where you stand, because he's acting up right here in the store. The world has changed, folks. The world has changed. Whether our old asses want to admit it or not, the world is digital. And when you act a fool in the grocery store, when you act a fool, wherever you act a fool, that's generally where parents will check your ass. Good parents will generally check your ass right where you want to show off. So if his little ass want to show off on Instagram, he has to snatch that son away from the streets. And the only way to do it is to be the bigger street dude in that case. The talking just don't work. Y'all don't have to agree with me, but I would ask you this question. I got to ask you this question. Do you have a son on Instagram posing with guns and dope? And if so, feel free to call me and let me know how you dealt with it. Matter of fact, let me put the number across the screen. I apologize. I don't know why that's not there. But let's talk about it. We got a couple hours. Numbers on the screen, 513-310-0546. Let me know how you feel. Because yesterday I got the business. Some people didn't agree with the whole situation. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. They didn't agree. They didn't agree. They were like, oh, that daddy shouldn't have put his hands on that little boy. That little boy getting bullied by his daddy. He could have handled that totally different. Well, we don't know how many different conversations they've had. We don't know. We don't know if this is the 10th time or the second time or the first time that daddy had a conversation with his son. We don't know. So this is what I'm going to do. Let me see if I can get the video again for those that may not have seen it, so they'll know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Let's see. Did Dad go too far? And then I have another video I'd like to share with a dad who participated in his kid's life a different kind of way, teaching him right from wrong. Y'all, some of y'all seen it on my Facebook page today. So what I'm going to do, I'm sorry, I was reading some comments. I'm going to play this video again. All right. It's a little brutal, but it's worth looking at. And then I want some input. You tell me what you think the dad should have done. I know we Monday morning quarterbacking. Let me get in rhythm here, guys. I'm a little thrown off. This one o'clock thing is just not my time, and I'm running a little late, and I hit the power button. Y'all know how I do. So check this video out, and you tell me if Dad was dead ass wrong, or do you understand where Dad is coming from?
Now, come help. Come help. Man, quit playing with me. Come help him. These type of kids gonna get you fucked up. That's what I'm saying. These your friends though. Your friend gonna get your ass beat. If you ever in your fucking life listen to one of them and raise your hand at me, bitch, I will bury you. And bury they dust their asses too. Don't fucking play with me, David. This type of shit I'm talking about. These little boys, these little girls gonna get the shit beat out you, boy. Play with me if you want to. You better choose your motherfucking friends wisely. Because right now, you bullshit, nigga. Better tell them your dad not the nigga to play with. I will bury them fucking bitches. I don't care about killing no fucking kids. You better tell them. Before they kill you or before they hurt you, I'll do it. Tell them folks quit motherfucking playing. This shit ain't no motherfucking joke. Fuck wrong with y'all kids. Don't get mad because y'all dust ass parents don't love y'all like I love mine. Now what? Y'all know where he is. Pull up. Help. Come save him.
I'm reading the comments. Yo Underwood said that's bullying, bro. That's not bullying, in my opinion. What was the bullying part? Was what part? What part was it? When he hit him? When he put hands on him? You never got a whooping before? I mean, I think bullying and abusive is when you pound on somebody multiple times. When you whoop them and you whoop them and you whoop them and you whoop them. That's abuse. But I'm going to say something that I should have said yesterday. That man, that father, may have just saved his son's life. Or he might have saved somebody else's son's life. Because if his son on the internet with guns and playing around in that lifestyle and all that old shit, you don't know, he know his son better than anybody. And then he know if his son was capable of living on that in the streets and living that life. That's why he went for his heart. I can tell you this. That hurt his father. He didn't enjoy doing that. I can tell. I can tell. Because he was more into proving to them other kids or the circle that his his son was running in. Like he was basically saying, my son ain't going to be in that lifestyle with y'all. My son's not going to do that. And if y'all got a problem with it, come see me. And if y'all parents don't love y'all enough to feel the way I feel about mine, that's on y'all, not on us. So let's be clear. I hear abuse. What was the abuse? The smack. The hit. That was the abuse. We ain't never got whoopings. We never got a whooping in public. Kids don't even freaking go outside anymore. Social media is their outside. Social media is the new way of going to the playground and play. You ain't never seen kids get their ass whooped by their parents at the playground? Let's be honest. We want respectful kids, but we don't want the kind of parents that make them respectful. We don't want the type of parents that's willing to step up and be the bad guy and not the friend to their kids. Let's just be honest. Because what you think this daddy would say if he got a phone call before this incident and he knew his son was on the way on the ground and all that, playing with guns and drugs and shit, and he got a phone call from the police department or from the morgue saying, your son is down here, can you come ID the body? Don't you think that now that father would be like, I should have did more? I should have done more? I'm gonna be honest with you. He didn't hit his son. He didn't punch his son to knock him out. He didn't raise his hand to his son to knock him out. Am I justifying? Y'all know, let me set the record straight first. I got attacked a lot because of my views on whoopings. I never whooped my children. I got a ton of whoopings as a kid, but I don't believe you should put your hands on your children to discipline them. But you know what? I ain't never had a son on Instagram with guns and drugs. Perping a life. I've never had that. If my daughters was doing that, I don't know how I would react. I don't know how many times it would take me to be nice before they get it. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, what am I supposed to do? Sit him down on the couch, rub his back and tell him how wrong it is? This father has had this, he's had this conversation before. He's had the conversation telling him to watch who he's with and his friends. He's had this conversation before, you can tell. Let me read a couple of the comments. Matter of fact, let me put them up on the screen versus me. All right, so all the comments that you make at this point by text, they'll show up on the screen. My apologies, I should have had that. Yo, Underwood, I'm gonna go at that point. He said, that's bullying, bro. He should be in jail. Okay, so the dad should be in jail from stopping his son from being a future jailbird. I got you. All of that in front of little kids. So you ain't ever got a whooping at home with brothers and sisters and all of them knew? I was the only child, but I've seen brothers get, three brothers all get an ass whooping in the same day by their mama for all being involved in some nonsense. I've seen a mother whoop one of her sons in front of the other two because of what he did. When did mamas stop whooping asses in front of their other kids? When did that happen? MJ Smith says, that's not bullying. That's being a parent. And some of y'all don't know how to be no parents. Y'all just let y'all kids do what the F ever until they come up dead or missing. Then you will be singing a different song. I have to agree with some of that. I have to agree with some of that. Majority of it, 99.9. Great commentary, Randall Wyatt. Thank you, CK. Appreciate you. Yo, Underwood said he also threatened to kill him, Wyatt. Listen, man, my mama threatened to knock my motherfucking head off when I was a kid. Did I ever think my head was going to go rolling down the street? See, what we doing is we being critical on a father who is doing what he has to do. If you look at the dad, I've said this yesterday. If you look at the dad is tatted up. He ain't wearing no Brooks Brothers suit or no shit like that. It looked like he's been out there himself. He know what that life is about. And this is how he understands how to deal with this problem. I'm not mad at him. Now, you talking to a guy who opened up yesterday. I opened up yesterday at some of the shit that I went through as a child, and I know abuse. I know abuse. I know what mental abuse is, and I know what physical abuse is. That was not abuse. That was a son that had a scary fear. He had a fear, but a fear respect of his father. But like most kids, they one way in the house, and when they exit the door, they're a whole nother way. They're a whole nother person. And it be the quiet ones that be leading the pack sometimes. AP says, letting them know they can't have his son. It wasn't happening. He is on guard for his 100. That's what he says. Emmanuel Livingston says, CK, what makes it excessive? Fame, betting. Yeah, okay. He said he was going to call. Feel free to call. Betting public sports show. Fame says, Wyatt, this is ridiculous. Yeah, it is. You know what's ridiculous, Fame? More than anything, that young man being on the Instagram with guns and drugs. This is the same guy that we'll read about in the newspaper. This is the same little man that the police will hem up, and y'all will be running around here with the Black Lives Matter t-shirts on and shit saying, why the police doing like that? This is the same little young man that'll be out here in these streets ripping and running, thinking that shit is cool. And everybody will be wondering, where the hell is daddy at? Well, he ain't got no daddy. That's what's wrong. Where these people daddy at? Y'all would be saying that shit. I'm quick to say it. I can't turn back. I got to stand on my circle. I can't say, where are all the good daddies when I see a daddy checking his son for doing foolish shit? You trying to tell me that if you got a kid that's doing some street shit, what other tactic are you going to use to try to remove him from that element? What other tactic? Put him on punishment? Let's take a phone call real fast. Let me see if I can get at it real fast. Hold on. New spot, new phone line. Let's see if I think, caller, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Fame, what's happening?
Yeah, it's Fane Rothstein, aka Hacksaw Jim Thuggin. I'm calling. I meant what I said, and I'm meaning what I say now. If the people, you said the people got at you yesterday, I didn't see the show, but you say the people got at you yesterday. If they said anything other than you're out of your damn mind, then they were wrong.
So I'm out of my mind.
Yes, you are. Okay. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I can't accept this.
Okay. I'm out of my mind.
You know, that you're falling right into the damn public school system of thinking, let's be rough as hell to black boys no matter what. At all costs. You know, all that you use it takes a village to raise a child. But there's also another quote about that says, if the child doesn't feel the warmth of the village, it'll burn it the hell down. I bet that guy who's shooting kids at the damn at the Little League ball game, I bet he was slapped in the face by his dad. And just because dad's in the house doesn't mean he get to be a raging asshole. That's something. Why this ain't getting whooped at home by your mom and your brothers and sisters. You know, you just embarrassed your son for the world to see. Slapped him. He can't fight you back.
Fame,
you know, he's not gonna hit dad back.
I'm shocked at you.
That slap ain't going nowhere, because if I'm not mistaken, that video is at least 2 years old.
I'm shocked at you. I'm shocked at you. You know why I'm shocked at you? Because you from the era of watching people get their ass whooped from their parents right outside in the grocery store, at the Value Cities and the Zayres and the Gold Circles and all that shit. At church, you from that era. You from that era. And today's era is not public. Today's era of being in public is social media, even with these parents of today's age. And I'm shocked that you wouldn't see the disciplining your kid in the same area or the platform that they acting a fool, just like our parents did in our days. I'm shocked that you wouldn't agree with what that man did. The element, you know how these little boys running in these streets.
We're talking about that era. Disciplining your kids at Thriftway or Biggs is not the same as slapping the shit out of them on Facebook.
It's the same thing.
7 billion users.
No, everybody don't.
There might be 100 people in the store at most. There might be, depending on the time of year. There's anywhere up to 300 million to several billion people using Facebook at any time that can see that.
Well, you got to understand times have changed. And when and you know what? Wait a minute.
You do better. Okay, you don't embarrass your son on TV like that.
And Fame, let me say this to you. How many people you say was seeing that video of him getting checked by his daddy?
I don't know. Like I said, it's at least 2 years old.
No, I'm saying roughly.
At least because I know where I saw it before.
I'm saying roughly. You said how many people see him getting checked by his daddy?
Oh, I don't know. How many views does it have?
Let's just say 1 million. Just for the sake of argument. Well, he used social media to check his son for that. Now, let me ask you this. How many people seen his son on social media with the gun and the drugs?
We did it.
I'm sorry.
But we saw that the dad is clearly an asshole. That's what we saw.
No, but
maybe
the
son is doing that on Facebook because he knows his dad is a complete asshole.
Oh, so he did that because of his daddy.
He learned that behavior from somebody. We see where he learned it from.
Now you see, Fame, you wrong.
The aggression,
you wrong.
The bullying.
You wrong. And I said it yesterday. You missed yesterday's show, or you wouldn't even have said that.
I did miss yesterday.
Let me tell you where
I'm about to
tell you where. No, I'm telling you where you're wrong. It's not that I disagree. I have facts. This is where you're wrong. You just said that he get his behavior from his daddy, and I'm telling you that there's dudes that are sitting in the penitentiary right now that didn't have a daddy to learn that behavior from, and all kids sitting in the penitentiary ain't from poor black families. Some of them come from very good homes, and their parents just didn't know what the hell was going on with them. So now, how you gonna sit here and say that young man got his behavior from his daddy? You don't know that.
His dad slapped the shit out of him.
His dad checked.
He was sleeping. His dad sleeping. So he slipped one in.
His dad punched the shit out of him because he did some street shit. What he's supposed to do? What would have been more appropriate? Teaching that young man with a blow, or just whooping his ass like a slave? Whoop him and whoop him and whoop him.
If you don't give him a blow, if you don't hit him with a blow or whoop him like a slave, you don't have to do it on social media.
But you got to understand
dickhead about it.
Okay, well, let me ask you something.
Dickheads be dickheads.
Okay,
and this is where the kid gets the behavior from.
I hear you.
Dickhead.
This is not where kids get their behavior. But I'm gonna tell you something.
No, is that not his son? Why?
That's his son. But we don't know if.
So where did he get his behavior from? The teacher? The Negroes of valor in the community, or his tatted up, aggressive dad?
Fame, I'm so shocked at you. You gonna make me do numbers? You gonna make me do numbers?
Listen, bro, we can take this wherever you want to.
All right, well, I can do numbers.
I'm not gonna go say you're wrong. I'm just telling you why I wholeheartedly disagree.
Well, okay. Let's break it down by frame, because I don't listen. Yesterday, I didn't justify.
I don't need to break it down by frame. I saw a right hand go across the
No. I'm talking about when I say let's break it down by frame. I'm saying of the video. What portion of the video don't you agree with? And do you agree with any portion of the video?
There's no need to rear your children in front of the world.
Fame, can I ask you somewhat of a personal question?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever, as a kid, get an ass whooping in public?
Not in public that I can recall.
Did your mama ever snatch you up?
Maybe at modesty, nothing I can call, but behind closed doors, it was haggling her.
Did your mama or your daddy ever snatch your ass up where you was acting a fool?
In public, no.
Okay, then you won't understand why this video is what it is. Because
I go to Walmart on Ferguson Road quite often. You go in there, you see 3-year-olds getting told by their 22-year-old mother, you touch something up, I'm gonna fuck you up in front of everybody. I'm sure that kid's gonna really enjoy and understand the lesson being told that your mom is gonna fuck you up for being a 3-year-old and touching stuff.
Okay, this is a little bit different, Fame. We talking about a young man who was doing things on the social media platform, displaying violence. Okay,
he's making bad decisions like every other teenage boy does.
And what does
he does not need to have his bad decisions compounded by his dad's bad decisions, who's supposed to be leading the way.
Okay, did you hear what the dad said at the end of the video? He said,
once you slap a kid in the face, I don't want to hear nothing else you got to say.
Okay, see,
I can discredit that.
Well,
I don't care about nothing else you're talking about because it means nothing to me, because your first choice is violence and humiliation.
Well, we don't know how many conversations he's had with his son about this situation.
Would you say, wait a minute, hold on.
Would you say
national TV, all that other stuff is just it ain't even part of the conversation.
But hold
on, it's just
Fang.
talking. We saw a slap to the face with aggression and humiliation.
Wait, let me ask you something, Fang.
And now, hold on, one more thing. Not to mention, it's a boy you're slapping. Nothing more emasculating than a man slapping another man. Open-handed slap in the mouth. That is so wrong from about 407 levels, man. But continue.
Let me ask you something.
Rich.
This is a great. You're from a great era of discipline. When you grew up in school, did you ever get SWATs? Did you ever go to a school that they had SWATs?
We got SWATs and we went back into the classroom, put our head down and fronted like it hurted, but we're laughing at each other under the damn our armpit.
So the answer is yes. You got SWATs in school.
Yes.
Okay. I went to a school that gave SWATs as well, and they would give our SWATs right in front of the classroom. So you saying y'all got y'all SWATs in the hallway?
Yes.
But I think it's still the humiliation that happens, whether you get it in front of the whole class or right in the hallway. I think everybody in the school or in your class or in the school on that floor knew that you got a SWAT.
Well, they heard somebody get swatted, but they don't know necessarily who it was.
But isn't that a form of?
We know who this kid is. This little JoJo.
Wait a minute.
Ricky you telling me?
Wait a minute,
on the west side of Chicago. Yeah, the one little nigga got slapped.
Fame,
on national TV on Facebook.
You trying to tell me, Fame, that when a kid got swatted at school, the whole damn school didn't know little Ricky got a SWAT today. Everybody laughing at Ricky because he got a SWAT today.
Not necessarily.
Okay, that's how it was where I was. I got plenty of SWATs by Mr. Stinson and all that shit in school. Yeah, I got SWATs in front of the class, some in the hallway.
You might have not, but you watching Facebook, you watch nigga shit on Facebook, and you watch the dad who's out of control.
Well, let me just say something.
Vicariously through his son.
Living vicariously through his son.
And totally messing him up. He has no high school peers now. Because all they're gonna do, he try to play ball in the locker room, they're gonna cap on him. Don't talk to me like that. You ain't talk to your daddy like that. Then what he gonna do? Go get a pistol and shoot 3 teammates while they sleeping on the school bus.
Or maybe he would have done that before his daddy checked his son. You don't know if that man saved his son's life, or if you don't know if that father saved his son from killing your son's life. See, that's what you're not playing
that humiliation.
Okay.
There's no need to risk any of that through humiliation.
I think it's fair to say.
Every will tell you that you do not humiliate your kids.
I agree with that.
Anybody who's a social worker that's out there, tell me if I'm right or wrong.
I agree with you. I agree
that you shouldn't. You agree, then that's it right
Wait a minute,
bro.
No, it don't. No, there's several things that can be right at the same time. He humiliated him, yes, but he also was sending a message. And I'm gonna tell you something.
What message?
Listen, bro. If I have to embarrass my daughter in front of a bunch of people to keep her away from them trash people, they don't want her around them any more than I want them to be around her. So, mission accomplished. If they now think he's soft and don't want him in the gang and don't think he a real dope dealer and all that old shit, then fine. That mission accomplished. But I can tell. You can't
go out there and say, Lil Ricky can't roll with y'all. Y'all think he's soft anyway. I don't really like him hanging with y'all. So Lil Ricky won't be chilling with y'all no more, okay?
Fame, let me ask you something.
A right cross.
Let me ask you something, Fame. How would you have dealt with your son who was on the ground with guns and drugs. We done seen this shit a million times. And every time I put it on the air and it's some little 8 or 9-year-old holding a gun up with weed and all this old one shit, what do everybody say? Where his mama
exactly.
at? He need a daddy. Where his parents
just
at?
last school year with my son. It wasn't drugs and guns, but he was doing something illegal, vaping. I said, hey,
oh man, that's like smoking a cigarette, man. That ain't the same thing.
Took care of it. I need you all to watch it because apparently mom doesn't.
That
so I
ain't
need
the
you
same.
guys to keep an eye on that for me, and if I need to call the authorities or the welfare people, I'll do that.
Yeah, well, that ain't quite the same.
As a public school district and a parent, we're gonna fix this immediately.
That ain't quite the
same. That's what I would have done since you asked.
Well, yeah, I asked you,
because
but
that's what I did.
Well, that's different than having drugs and guns on the Instagram, posing like you about that life, and then your daddy come tell you and your partners you ain't about that life. And anybody want to try to pull him in, pull up. I got something for you too.
Oh yeah, let's threaten some more children. Let's. Well,
we don't know if they all children
and unwarm and cold.
You don't know if they all children.
Like the damn school district do.
Fame, I'm so shocked at you.
No,
I'm so shocked at you. So you trying to tell me these boys that's getting put on in the dope game being put on by kids? Man, where you live? Where you live?
They're getting put on by 18 or 19-year-olds who were slapped in the face.
They getting put on by 30-year-olds. What the hell you talking about, bro? They getting put on by grown men.
I don't really know the dope game like that. Okay, so the guy's 30.
Listen.
Who probably was in Biggs getting told by his mom she was gonna F him up if he touched another box of crackers. And he just want to see why he got the white stuff on.
Why are you comparing little shit to some big shit like this, bro? I don't understand.
Oh, man, like I said yesterday. What is this for? I don't deserve that. What's wrong with you? Listen, man, this your take on this. Where were you on July 7th? Where were you at on July 7th, 1996?
Mm-hmm.
Where were you at on July 7th? Do you know where you were?
Where was I at? What date?
July 7th, 1996.
July 7th, 1996?
Yeah.
I don't know shit, bro. 1996? You talking damn near 20 years ago. 30 years ago.
I remember exactly how I was that day.
You was locked
because
up?
That was the day. No, that was the day Hulk Hogan joined the NWO.
Oh, see, there goes some of that more bullshit.
What the hell are you talking about? It was a very disappointing day for me.
Oh.
Just like your take is right now. Disappointing.
Oh. So you gonna compare me to
driver? You like the limo driver on Friday after next. I'm Pinky. You need to slow this motherfucker down. You're making me spill my yak in the back of this drink here. I need you to chill. This is a horrible take. Please stop telling my people.
I tell you what, Pinky. Why don't you grab your bottle of activator and sit the fuck back and just listen to this shit right now, okay? Spray some activator and calm down. Get your curl right in.
Wyatt, it's always a pleasure. It's been real. I had fun. We'll try this again when you make a little more sense.
Man, I'm cutting you. Goodbye. I ain't trying to hear that. I ain't trying to hear that. Look, all I'm saying is everything that Fame is saying makes sense if this kid went into the grocery store, stole some donuts, and his daddy flip moded like this. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? If he went into the local gas station and stole some Now Laters and a Snicker bar and a soda, and he was on the YouTube showing it, and he got away and he was clowning and that's different. I wouldn't be as upset. I mean, I would be like, oh yeah, the dad was wrong. He went to the extreme. But we talking about some life and death shit. Flexing on the gram as you some hitman for the dope game. You in the game out here. You about them streets. And you got a mama and a daddy at home. And obviously little bitty brothers and sisters or whatever. This young man is setting himself up to either be killed or to kill somebody. And you're going to say his daddy went too far? His daddy didn't go far enough. You don't know how many calls And how many times he had a conversation with his son? Son, this shit ain't for you. I could tell y'all some shit about my daddy, my real daddy, who was out in the streets, who I never seen because he was locked up all the time. Who I looked up to on a criminal type of shit. Like, yeah, my daddy, like my friends from down the way, all our daddies did the same shit. Not all of them, but the few of us who actually knew who their daddy was and we had somewhat of a contact with them, we all knew each other's daddies and all that old shit. And they would tell us, your daddy told us to tell you how. You ain't seen my father. My father locked up. You know he locked up. I didn't know he was locked up. So now let me ask you this. What would y'all say if this young man shot and killed another young man? What would you say if you seen, what happens when y'all see these guys do what they do, and after the fact, y'all look on the Facebooks and see their social media, and you see they've been acting a damn fool? What do y'all say then? Where is mama at? Where is daddy at? They didn't see him doing this. He done killed somebody else's son, and ain't nobody do nothing about it before it got to this point. And y'all gonna tell me that the daddy is wrong for checking his son on the same platform that his son was out flexing and doing all that bullshit on. You trying to tell me that was wrong? And then here go the other thing. Some of y'all say the daddy was wrong for hitting his son when y'all know y'all didn't whoop y'all child. The fuck? And got whoopings growing up. You talking to the only person that come on the air and go against the grain. And I tell y'all, since day one I started Wyatt Live, I always say I don't believe in whoopings. I got plenty of whoopings as a kid. I understand the structure, but it just brings me back to the way people disciplined us. If you turn to violence to discipline somebody, they may end up being violent. But this is a different situation. His son is already in some violent shit. His son is already in some violent situations. And if he's not, he's advertising violence for himself, his family. I know kids his age who mama's house got shot up doing shit like what he did. How many of y'all know that? How many had you ever thought about the safety of that family, the father, the mother, and the other little brothers and sisters in that house? You never thought of that? You never thought about when people know you got drugs and shit in your house, or you advertising all that shit, that your house is now a mark? Nobody thought about that now, did they? And I can guarantee you, most of you, if some shit happened to this kid in the streets, or if he do something to one of y'all kids, the first thing y'all gonna say is, where's his mama at? And where's his daddy? That's what the fuck y'all gonna say, and you know it. I gotta put my parental adventure parent thing up there. Sorry, it's during the day. My apologies. Let's take another phone call real fast. Good evening, caller. This is Wyatt. Who am I speaking with?
CK, what's up?
What's good,
Team
CK?
Wyatt.
Team CK, what's happening, brother?
Hey man, hey, you got a good one, man. You had to do a part 2. It was so fire yesterday, right?
Appreciate it. Yeah, well, I mean, it's, we just bringing some people in that wasn't here yesterday, but I ain't saying nothing any different. I'm sticking on my circle, and I know it's a lot of people that respect me, and I respect them, and they just don't agree with me. They don't agree with me, and I can live with it.
And that's it right there. What you just said is it. We got you coming from a place of love. You coming from a place of nourishing, from parenting. You know what I mean? Like I say, you and Livingston, y'all always promote fatherhood. You know what I mean? Everything's good. So that's what we got to do too, is stop hating each other for one little opinion. Oh, I don't mess with him no more. He did a story on such and such.
No, I disagree with the violence on the internet. You know, like I was telling Livingston, I think you could talk to your son, you could mentor him. Considering his age, I think the violence is unnecessary. I don't think you need to because I think when you hit your son or your daughter, you're creating permanent damage. Like in your case with daughters, if your daughters was teenagers and they got caught twerking and shaking their ass and their mama came in there and whooped their ass on social media, how do you feel about that?
If they was twerking and doing all, if they was twerking and doing all that shit online online, that I would be okay.
15,
yeah, I would be okay if my wife whooped their ass right where they was performing and showing their ass. I wouldn't have a problem with that. And it wouldn't be me. If it was my daughters, I expect my wife to handle that. But as a man, if my son out here doing grown man shit, living under my roof, I am going to start. If he's already in a violent situation and displaying violence, yes, it's me. I am supposed to set the example, and I gotta, by any means necessary, keep my son out of that bullshit. And if that means embarrassing him, unfortunately, listen, that man didn't like doing that, CK. That man didn't like doing that.
He's gonna apologize. I think he will eventually apologize to himself because I think it's not right. I think when you put your hands on your family, if you got any type of oils, you eventually in the future will apologize and regret what you did. I think he's gonna regret it because it wasn't right. You could get through to that man. He respects you. Your children respect you. You don't have to hit them and stuff like that. You can get through to him, Mr. Wyatt. You don't have to put your hands on them. Not at that age. Maybe younger.
Now, listen, you preaching to the choir on that, CK. I truly believe that you don't have to strike your kids, but you don't start that type of discipline at 15 and 16. That has to be started at the beginning of that child's life. You have to set the precedent at the beginning where that kid has a different type of fear of you. And it's not he'll knock my head off. It's a fear of them disappointing you, letting you down so they don't do things. Look, I got two beautiful girls. Do I think that they perfect? They beautiful and perfect to me, but when they leave this house, I know they're not perfect. I know they do shit that I wouldn't agree with because I have been a child myself. I knew girls. I know they act great in front of their parents. Little boys do the same shit. Nobody says to their mother or their father, Daddy, I'm going to be a gangster. So get out my way. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. They might work and have an allowance and do chores in the house. You don't know. He could be a little bitty ass Al Capone when he leave the house. You just don't know. And if you allow the streets to out hustle you, you will lose your child. You will lose your child to these streets.
And I understand, but Mr. Wyatt, I think that by assaulting your child for, let's say 13 on up, okay, by doing that, putting your hands on them like that, I think you are defeated. He is showing that he lacks somewhere as a father. So he's showing where he messed up at.
Yes.
Because if he did what he did early on, he would. So it's all on the father. You are hitting your son because you feel that you didn't discipline him. I think by that age, when he slapped him on that tape, he didn't have to put his hands on him. I can get through to him with verbiage, with verbal, with dialogue. I can talk to him and get. Listen, what you're doing is a crime, son. You're on social media.
How you know he didn't have them conversations, CK?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm asking just to be asking. How do you know that his first step of level of discipline was just this severe right here? You don't think this is a man that obviously had some conversations before, because I can tell by the way he had the conversation. He said, I've told you, I've been telling you, these kids these little boys and these little girls are going to be the death of you. I'm telling you, he's had this conversation several times with this kid. He's a knucklehead and he wasn't listening. I disagree.
I disagree with that point. I think by what I've seen, it looks like this is a situation where you be like, look, your son out of control, man. You've been out of his life. You need to come here and check this out. It looks like that to me.
That dad
looks like a guy that's been in his life. It looks like a guy that just came out of nowhere.
No, that's not it. That man is married to that woman. He had a wedding. He had a wedding band on. The mother was doing the video. The mother was okay with things until he hit. I'm thinking that, look, he's been hit before, obviously, because you know, he's probably been disciplining his kids, whooping kids just like we grew up getting whoopings. My point is this: I don't think that the mother agreed with him hitting him on the video or him filming the video, because she did say something. I forgot who the caller was, but somebody called yesterday and said, I don't even think the mama really wanted that to happen, because she was like, stop. Oh, it was my sister Arthea. She said, listen to the mother in the background. And I'm saying that the mother is saying, why'd you do that? And it came from, why are you recording this? Not why you hit him. Not that. What mother gonna tell the father, her husband, not to discipline their child? And look, all I can say to y'all, CK, I don't agree with it. But like you said, this man is talking to this older young kid, right? We don't know how many conversations this man had with his child to get to this point.
Right.
I'm telling y'all, this man was not feeling doing that. He did what he had to do. Look, I didn't agree. Who remember me posting that video of the man who got on the bus and yelled at the entire bus for his daughter he thought was getting bullied. So he said she was getting bullied. And he went on that bus and traumatized all those kids. That's a different situation than how he wasn't even doing anything for his child. That's why I didn't agree with that, because he could have handled that totally different. But this right here, he went on the same platform. He did everything. He went to the same audience that his son felt comfortable with, being a thug and a gangster. And I'm going to show y'all he ain't a thug or a gangster, and you ain't going to recruit him. And if you think you're going to do that, you got to come see me. And when
I didn't agree with that at all, because this is the main point I'm trying to get through to you, Mr. Wyatt, is violence escalates violence.
I know.
Now this could put his life in danger. You know what I mean?
Well,
and then you could permanently push your son away from you.
Yeah. Well, let me just.
I do understand your point about you don't want him to get killed or go to jail, but I think the violent part is what that's when it's going too far, and you could push him away forever. You could do permanent damage, look, emotionally, and turn him into a monster.
I agree with you, but here's what time will tell on that. Look, let me just be honest with you and say this. I agree with you, but at the end of the day, if you look at this situation, this kid is either going to thank his daddy or he's going to hate his daddy, and that's just what fathering is about. We have to be brutal. And we have to be the bad guy sometimes when we know we're doing good for our kids. That's what real daddies do. Daddies have to be the bad guy. It's like that in my house. In my household, I don't have to embarrass my children, but if I had to, I would. But I'm going to tell you this. When it comes down to certain disciplining, I handle certain things and my wife handles certain things. That's the nucleus of a family. And that's what we missing. I heard a whole lot of people talk about he didn't have to do this. He didn't have to do that. He could have just rubbed the kid back and put some Vaseline on his feet and get him a Jerry curl and take him to dinner and talk to him. But we don't know if that kid is reciprocating the conversations that this daddy done already had. I could tell how the man was bitching at him that this is not the first time they had this conversation.
Right, but over time, remember when we was young, just think how the evolution, just in your life and all our lives. Remember when we was young, we was pro Malcolm X. Because we was like, man, we ain't finna let nobody turn the other cheek. But then as we got older, toward our 40s, we started realizing like, oh, the hardest thing is to walk away. It is not walk away from your son. I'm talking about as far as peaceful, you got to do peaceful resolutions, because the kids got guns now.
I agree.
So I think you promoting violence. Then when you threatening the other kids, like what y'all going? You one of them. You just all right. I'm just as gangster as y'all. What y'all want to do? I slap them. What y'all going? No.
CK.
Just tell them straight up. Look, bro, look, son. What you doing? You got to think. They both committed crimes. If the son is putting guns and drugs on social media, that's a crime. And if you are assaulting your son, you're a criminal also. He could be arrested for that. That's the main point. And we can't promote parents doing that, and they gonna go to jail for assaulting their kids.
I can't believe this, man.
Got arrested for that.
I cannot believe this, bro. I cannot believe our community is seeing this father as the bad guy. It's not like this kid went and stole a bag of potato chips, or he skipped school and he's fronting on his kid like this. This kid was a poster of violence. This kid was promoting violence and drugs. And he was out there like he was about that life. And his daddy had to step up and do what he had to do. Now, let me ask you this. CK, you from my era. You remember Good Times. I said this yesterday.
Yes.
So James Evans, the daddy, should have went to jail when he put his hands on Bulldog when they was trying to recruit JJ in the gangs. You don't remember that? Do you remember that episode?
Yeah, I just watched it. I was laughing when you said it yesterday because I just watched that about 2 months ago. I watched that episode.
See, everybody was cheering James Evans when he fronted on Bulldog from trying to recruit his son into them gangs in Chicago. And you trying to tell me that a daddy today see his son going down that same alley, you think he's supposed to have they supposed to go to the Outback and have a steak dinner and talk about the shit and work it out? How many times do you think his daddy had this conversation before he got to the point where he had to do what he had to do? Nobody's looking at it that way.
I think we need more context, but to your point, you got to understand, it's not that I think he should get locked. I'm just saying that's the way the laws work. If he was to get arrested, none of the people that justified could help him. I'm saying your son committing the crime, you're committing the crime. So if law want to apply pressure to the father, he would go to jail, and none of these people gonna get him out.
So let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. When you say that the father committed a crime, I don't disagree with you, but I want to know, what do you think the crime was?
Assault, child abuse.
Child abuse, assault by hitting this kid. And
I'm not. I'm just saying.
You're talking about the hit.
I'm not saying that's what I would want to happen.
I know. You're actually right. Putting your hands on somebody is technically an assault. But don't we as a community, haven't we, the parents that are responsible, haven't we all said that 241 kids did damage to our communities? Haven't we?
Yes.
Haven't we all been saying things like, boy, you can't even discipline your kids anymore? Haven't we been saying that for 20 years?
Let me tell you, my daddy, okay, I got in trouble when I was in California, right? My daddy whooped my ass. I was probably like 12 or something, right? And like you said, the 241 kid, whatever, child abuse came. And you know what my daddy told him? Well, y'all take his ass, y'all raise him.
Right. You pay his lunch money. You pay his lunch money and you buy his Levi's then. You buy the hair grease that he putting in his hair. You buy his comb and toothbrushes. You buy his drawers. That's what they should have been telling 241 kids. I get why they exist.
And remember, you as a father put yourself in that position by smacking your son on social media. You put yourself in that position. That's what we're promoting against that. Don't do the same thing your son doing, which is commit crimes on social media.
Sometimes, CK, you have to stretch to a means that you would never go through. I would say this to you. I would be totally on everybody's side who think this is wrong if this man did something because his son did something minor. But he did something to the fourth degree of extreme. What he did was also illegal by posting drugs and guns on the internet. And he's made himself a mark by the police. He's made himself a mark in the community. He's made himself a mark to the other street dudes out here because now they think he got some money. And he's also put his family in a bad position because what y'all don't understand is them the same type of houses that get hit up. His house,
exactly right.
His house is now a target for anybody that want to rob their ass or shoot it up.
You make a great point right there.
Now, as a daddy, how am I supposed to make sure my son ain't doing this shit no more? Keep on having conversation after conversation. I would rather do this than to put him out, ass out with no money, no means, or nothing to do. And now the streets have him completely because he's already wanting to be a street kid.
But look at the game and the knowledge we got at this point in time right now. We know so much of the game, we don't have to resort to violence. Even with people on the street, only time we have to resort to violence is if it's imminent danger. So we know, just lay the law down. Don't floss, don't never threaten nobody. If you get on social media, just promote positivity. So you could lay down a whole code straight down. Now, if they don't listen to it, what I'm supposed to get violent? I'm supposed to whoop your ass because you're not listening? Okay, if I can't get, I'm not gonna think if I can't talk to you and get through to you by 15, 16, I don't think a slap can get through to you neither.
Well,
I think that's
maybe,
just gonna turn you the opposite direction. But man,
let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. The simple fact that the father put his hands on him and the reaction that the kid gave, that lets me know that he does fear and respect his daddy. Okay, there's a difference between fear and respect. If he didn't have any respect for his father, he would have stood up and been that street dude that has been lost. Like he would have known right then and there that he just lost his kid to the streets. You see what I'm saying? Because the little boy would have got up in his face, they would have fought. That's the difference between men raising boys, making them men, because we know we can take their temperature. Emmanuel Livingston just said that's not what the father was concerned. That was not the father's concern. I don't know if we know what the father's concerns were. There's many of concerns that go on in this. A lot.
And remember, Mr. Wyatt, look at how much you have to lose personally in your career, in your freedom. See what I'm saying? Don't make your sons make you lose out on your livelihood.
But see, let me just say something. Let me say something to you, brother. I'm willing to risk everything that I have to make sure my family is complete. I'm willing to go to jail before my son or my daughter, in my case, my daughters, I'm willing to take it. I'm willing to go to jail to make sure they got their shit right. And any father that's not willing to do that, and now don't get it twisted. If he's been telling his son, stay out the game, don't do this, don't do that, and his house gets raided and they find drugs and shit in this man's house, and it's his son's, I ain't taking that rap. My son he got to take that shit, right? But if I'm trying to prevent, if I'm preventing my kids from being out in certain places and doing things, and I got to risk my life to keep them from being that, then that's what I got to do. That's what I got to do.
And what you just said, that get through the law enforcement and that get through the judges. And this is why he didn't go to jail, because a lot of people in law enforcement have children and they understand. It's just like, I'll give you an example about if your daughter, if I'm beating on your daughter, right, and word get back to you, and you take me out, the judge will have compassion most likely.
Probably.
And a lot of times they won't treat you like a regular murderer. They will understand, well, he did this in defense of his daughter. This man he has a history of beating on his daughter. So it's understandable. So a lot of times you don't get that stiff sentence when you murder an abuser of your daughter. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
here's the thing.
Respect what you're saying.
Here's the thing on that, CK, and then I'll move on because I got another caller. But let me just say this. In that case scenario, what you just described, if I have a young man in my life that's beating my daughter, now me having daughters, if I catch it soon enough, y'all gonna say, if he beats my daughter on social media, I'm gonna beat his ass on social media. That's just me. Because the same platform you use to abuse my daughter, I'm coming to get your ass, and I'm gonna do it to you the same way you did it to my people. I'm willing to sacrifice myself for that. I'm willing to do that. Now, let me say this to you. If my kid, if he killed my kid, beating her, and I knew they was having issues and I never done anything about it, I would probably do myself. I would kill myself because I knew this man was doing some foul shit to my baby, and I didn't do anything about it. Do you see the equivalence to the points? My point is, you make a great point. My point is, I'm willing to sacrifice myself when I know I can save my child. That's all I'm saying to you. And if that man had to prove himself, he was not trying to bully his son. He was trying to let the people who was running in them circles with his son, his baby, stay the fuck away. He ain't about that life. I'm going to show you. And if you got a problem with it, like he said, come see me. Come pull up.
So would you agree that stops abuse from happening because they know, she has a father in their life. If I do something to her, I know her daddy, he don't play.
I'm sending that same message. Yes, CK, I'm sending that same message. And let me say this to you, brother. He did it in the video. He said it. Yep. He said, because y'all might not have no parents that give a shit about y'all, I love mine. And y'all gonna have to deal with me before I let y'all have him.
Respect.
And
Hey,
that's
man,
how he ended it.
Hey, you're a great litigator, brher. You're a great litigator.
Well, that's what I
got to
do.
give it to you. But from, like I said, you're talking from a point of love. It's not coming from hate. So our perspective is coming from love. We want the best for the child. We want the best for the father. All this is love. So we just got to stop personalizing. You know how you saying people, like when you had the discussion with the young lady, with your sister,
right?
And and they jumped on you. Come on, it's just y'all know he a good person. Remember, she said she had to tell him that's my brother. Now don't get on him too bad.
I go against the grain. For those that don't never come to Wyatt Live at 5 o'clock each day, I go against the grain. I'm not part of any circles. Y'all know that. I might not bring up names, but y'all know what I'm talking about when I say certain things. I'm not part of the get along gang of the city. I'm not one of them guys that don't hold people accountable. And I ain't gonna sit here and perp and try to blame people, when blame people that may have some fault, but then don't look at self. I'm a self-checker.
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't self-checking, you ain't serving yourself right in life. You always have to look at yourself first. Even when somebody do you wrong, you got to check yourself and say, how did I allow that person to get that close to me to make that and let that happen to me?
Right. Hey, man, great show. Keep up the good energy, man.
Appreciate you, CK.
Keep listening, bro.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. Catch you on the next one. All right, friend. That's CK, y'all. Y'all know I'm Team CK. He didn't agree, but it's cool. It's all right. I'm okay, man. Listen. Excuse me. As I said, I go against the grain all the time, and I don't do it just to be argumentative. No, I wouldn't do it. No. Here's the thing. Let's say that little boy was my son. Now, I got another video. If y'all don't mind, I'd like to play another video. It's on my Facebook page, just to let you know. You're going to love this one. Y'all going to absolutely love this one. I'm going to go about 20 minutes on this topic. It's the same topic, but y'all going to love this one. It's a dad. It's another dad story. It's another son that's acting a damn fool. But there's a difference here. The difference is in severity. It's a difference from being suspended from school and acting stupid and goofy in school and not listening to teachers than to be on the internet acting a damn fool with guns and drugs. Talking about you in this life. Having those type of role models and 30-year-old people that you look up to that'll run your ass right in the ground and have you doing crash dummy shit. Now, I got a feel good one right here. See, y'all think I'll be on some hater shit. I know the right from the wrong. I ain't gonna lie to you. I know what's right and what's wrong. But at the same time, I'm not gonna sit here and just be trying to act like, like we don't have enough, like we can't take responsibility to some shit that's going on. That father, let me skip all that. Let me tell you about this one. Here's another little boy that's been getting in trouble. This mother and father took a different route of how to explain. Now, this little boy is a lot younger too. So they have a lot more opportunity to do the talking. They probably haven't had half the conversations with this little kid that the other father has already had. So I'm going to show you this video right here of this dad. And they're in a karate studio. And the karate instructor is doing the disciplining of the son. Check this one out.
Push-up position. Get on top of your father. You're a lot heavier than you were at 9 years old. But he still has to push you now because you're not doing your part. Zeus! So he's doing good now, right, Kev?
Yes, sir.
How long do you think a father can keep doing it with all his responsibilities? Let's put life in this picture. He works, married. You're making his life a lot harder because he's worried about you because you're acting silly in school, getting suspended. Keep going, Kev. Try to fight through it. This is what he does for you. But he can only do so much. It's crushing your father. The way you can help, live up to your potential. When I say Zeus, your father's gonna push up, but you already know he's weak. You're gonna have to push up at the same time to help him. Zeus! See how you helping? Zeus! Zeus! Down.
Now, what you think about that? Some would say that's how you're supposed to discipline them. You're supposed to go and find these means and be able to tell your 8 or 9-year-old that you a pain in your father's ass and you a lot of stress on him. He got to go to work. He got to do that. Was a different method, right? Maybe that husband and wife in that first video, maybe that husband and wife had different means. That dad in the second video don't look like he really in the streets. He don't look like he got a son. The second dad don't look like his son is on Instagram or on the Facebook and all that old shit doing gun poses. This kid is at the beginning. He's at the beginning of being a knucklehead, getting suspended. I've been there, suspended from school and all that old shit. Having those little conversations with counselors and the principal and getting suspended, sent home for a couple days, even having other parents come to the school saying that I was a bad influence on the kids in school and he should be removed. All of that type of stuff. Been there through all of it. He's younger in the second video. Everybody would applaud and say that's great. That's the best way to do it. I agree. But we got to give that father who y'all think is a monster the benefit of the doubt and say, how many times did he have the conversation with his son and his son is just not getting it? Let's take another phone call real fast. Good evening, caller. This is Wyatt. Who am I speaking with?
How you doing? This is James Dubose. How you doing?
Hey, Mr. DeBose, how you doing, brother?
Pretty good. AKA Truth.
Truth, how you doing, Truth? What's good, man?
Well, I was calling in as a good topic, and
You in Chicago, correct?
In the past when we talked last time, but I have 7 sons.
Okay.
My oldest is 31, and I have my youngest is 8 months old.
Okay.
So now, one thing that we got to remember as far as parenting is we're dealing with it's a life and death situation. And so you got to understand that our responsibility as children, as parents, is to raise these children so they can live independently and have a life that is protected. And what that requires is for them to become disciplined. And so one of the things that I recall telling my children, my oldest children, when they were younger, teenagers, is that discipline comes from 3 places. It either comes from the house, street, or the courts. And only one of them care about you. And that is your mother and your father. When the streets and the courts get a hold of you, they don't care what they'll do to you. So as it pertains to corporal punishment or spankings, I don't believe that you spank a child for being a child, but they have to understand that that threat of punishment is there if they disobey. Because when that officer in the street tells you to do something, it could end in your death. If you don't know how to behave when you leave the house and you're in the streets, that could end in death.
I agree.
And we have to be mindful of that responsibility when we're raising our children. I think one of the examples of that, and I don't know how what was really going on in the house, in his household, but I know Joe Jackson, when it comes to the Jackson, he has a reputation of being very heavy-handed in raising his children. The thing with that is he was raising them in Gary, Indiana, which is basically a suburb of Chicago, and we know how Chicago is. Only to protect his child, Michael Jackson, and his other children from falling prey and dying the way he died, which was of drugs. That's how his life ended. And Joe Jackson, like I said, I don't know what really went on in his home or how abusive he was in that manner, but I will say that he helped them to become successful. He protected them, and he protected them from dying and being caught up in drugs, which actually his son succumbed to when the industry was able to separate him from his family.
Yes, I agree. So let me ask you something. Did you get an opportunity to see the video that I displayed? The one with the father that was aggressive?
Yeah, yes, I did. Now, like I said, I have 7 kids. There's some things that I would not have done. I don't believe
I
I'm
think
not
we
a
all can
Facebook
say that.
person. So I wouldn't have done that.
I,
Me personally,
I think we all,
I
Mr.
wouldn't.
Du Bois, I think we all have agreed that the dad may have done more than what we would have done. But my question, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you good.
my question is, you have 7 sons.
That's correct.
I don't know if this is out of line to ask you this, but if you don't feel comfortable, just say, hey, you know, none of your business. But having 7 sons, have you ever had to deal with one of your sons on the internet displaying guns and drugs and showing themselves about that life, and then you found out about it? They lived under your roof. Have you ever had to deal with that?
No, I haven't had to deal with that. I did have to deal with disobedience. And although, like I said, although I disagree with him putting it on the internet, one of the things I'm looking at is the life and death aspect of it. The life that he's protecting is his child. The other life he may be protecting is somebody else's child.
Exactly.
If he's out there in the streets doing something stupid.
Exactly.
So it ain't just as his child. And this is one of the things I think we get disconnected from in our community.
Exactly.
The child that is raised to be a thug and the child is being raised to be a doctor, one of those could save a life and one of those could take a life.
You're absolutely right. Thank you, brother. Thank you. This is not a kid who skipped school or who stole a bag of potato chips and got caught, and his daddy went over the cliff showing him how stupid he was. This is a kid that stepped into the arena of life and death behavior, and he went to the extremes because he felt like he had to. And we don't know how many father and son conversations he's had with this kid before it got to this point. We don't know how many regular calm down conversations, little Ricky, I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. We don't know how many smooth conversations they had before it took this severe conversation. We just don't know. And yes, show me a perfect parent. Show me a perfect parent. And I'll roll. Hey, I don't know a perfect parent is my point. Do you, Mr. Du Bois? Do you know a perfect parent?
No, and that's why I wouldn't be too critical. I mean, like I said, he's gonna make some mistakes and he may look back on this and say, you know what, I wouldn't have handled it this way. But like I said, the life and death component of this is what makes this so important, because if his son is out in the street and someone child's, heaven forbid, dies, the first thing we're going to look at is who raised him.
That's right.
Why is he not accountable? Because we're accountable as parents for what we send out into the street.
That's right. That's
so
absolutely
they represent
right.
us.
That's
and this
exactly
father
right.
understood that this child is not representing how he's raising them. And that has to be corrected. So I applaud him for handling that before it costs the life of his child or somebody else's.
And I look at it like this. If you look at the statistics today, if you just look at the crime statistics, this little kid is more likely to be shot and killed in the streets based on his behavior. He's either going to get shot and killed or he going to shoot and kill somebody. So we should look at it like maybe this daddy saved his son, or maybe he saved somebody else's son. That's a very, very equally, that's a neutral breakdown for me. That's the way I agree with
that. And so with that, look, like I said, he's going to look back on what he's done, and he's going to, he'll reevaluate if he'll do it the same way or not. But hey, like I said, I think he may have saved someone's life, maybe even his own son.
Yeah. And cynical thinkers, and I don't think that it's wrong to be a cynical thinker in this particular case. We're looking at the dad and talk about how the dad is a monster and this and this and that. We don't know how much contact the dad has had in this kid's life, his entire life. Okay, maybe the dad is new to him for the last couple of years. We don't know. Maybe the dad, looking at his tats and some other things, maybe he did some time. Maybe this kid getting street credit off of what his daddy is about. You see what I'm saying? But now his daddy, people do that all the time. Go to the penitentiary, come home, and they're a changed man. They don't want that street life anymore. They have a rep of being a street dude. And then you look at their kids and be like, oh, he probably a street dude too. And the kid adopts it from the streets. And the daddy don't want his kid to be a street dude. That type of stuff. It happens a lot. That happens too. So all I'm saying to you is we quick to look at, and then here, this is what I asked everybody, Mr. DeBose. I said, what part of the video did the daddy do? What was the harshest thing that he did? And most people are saying when he smacked him, punched him, or whatever. I don't know if it was open-handed or whatever. They think that's the hardest thing. It wasn't what he was saying. It was him putting his hands on the son. And see, me, I have to see it for what it's really worth. When we were kids, if you had a man in your life, the man wasn't always, every man didn't whoop. We had uncles and shit like that in our life. They didn't whoop you. They punch your ass in the chest. That was a man move when you dealing with little boys.
And he only had to do it once.
Exactly. Did he sit there and whooping and whooping and whooping and whooping on camera and whooping and whooping? He didn't do that. He did what men do to boys, growing them into men. You punch him one time and then you start fucking talking. That's what a man does. Now, I might sound like an abuser, but I'm telling you how it was for people that got disciplined in my era. Men didn't whoop you unless they were abusive. It was
now to the point I was saying, where I told my kids this: the discipline comes from three places: the home, the street, or the court. Now, when the streets or the court get a hold on you, it may end up in death, because you're going to get that discipline. I think that's the part that a lot of people miss. The discipline is coming. Now, what happens when it's coming from the street?
Right, one way or the other.
In death.
One way or the other, it's coming for your ass. And
that's right.
Daddy put his ass on the line to make sure that his son was not going to be harmed out there or harm somebody. And I'm telling you, you look, Mr. DeBose, you in the Chicago area, right?
Yes, sir.
So you know how when you get a reputation as being a street dude, or you might have some money, or you got some guns or something, nobody's knocking on your door nicely. Nobody's coming to rob you nicely. They coming to lay your ass down, and they bring a hardware with them. Now, this daddy, you don't know how much street he is. You don't know if that's part of his thinking. Like, bro, you putting the whole family in danger, not just you. At this point, we done had all these conversations. Now you living in my house and you putting us all in danger based on what you're doing on the Instagrams. Nobody said anything about that. So y'all telling me y'all don't remember, and I know y'all don't hear about it because the media, the local media in Cincinnati, don't talk about shit like this. But people get laid down in their dope boys' houses and their girlfriends and their baby mamas and their mamas' houses. Them people get laid down in there, and y'all don't hear shit about it. You only hear about 10% of the crime that happen in your neighborhoods. The other 90% go undetected. You know who be part of that 90%? Home invasions. When was the last time you heard on your local news of a home invasion?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You don't hear about home invasions, but they happen. They happen. They happen. You try to tell me somebody in Avondale don't get laid down, and you don't hear about it on the news.
You're right. He put his whole family in jeopardy by that display. And the other component that now this is one of the things I did have to remind my children of. I think one of the things that our kids have to be made aware of course, they're teenagers and they're going to just do, what teens do. But when you put that out there in the airwaves like that, on social media, on these different platforms, that stuff doesn't go away. So what he's doing right now, he may think is cool. He's just trying to be a part of he's just trying to fit in or whatever. But 10 years from now, he may want to be a lawyer, or he may want to run and have this position at this company. And they go and they look at this stuff, and that stuff is still with you because of how you represented yourself.
You're right.
So a lot of the stuff that we're putting out there, we got to communicate to our children. Everything is not for everybody.
Right.
And there's things that you're going to put on there at 16 that at 26 you would never think of putting out there.
Right.
But the world is going to remember you by the things that you said and the images that you put out there. Those things are going to live.
And you know what? The dad is probably not feeling good about what he did, but he probably did what he had to do at that moment, at that time. And I'll leave it at that. All right, Mr. Du Bois, I got a couple calls coming in. I appreciate you calling, man. Thanks for reaching out to us today.
All right, thank you for taking my
brother.
call.
All right, man. All right, I missed a call while he was on the line. Feel free to call right back. I missed an out of town call. Sorry, I'm looking at the call sheet here now. Feel free to call back. But okay, we can agree to disagree. I just know that if this young man go out in the streets and he do something to somebody, and there's a record of him on Instagram and on the post and all that old shit with guns and drugs and all that, and he's displaying that he's a street dude, I can guarantee you, y'all gonna look at it and y'all gonna want to say something about that man's family. Y'all gonna want to ask the question, where is his mama? That's the first thing y'all say. Me, I'm the opposite. I ask where the parent is, but I always ask when it comes to little boys, young men, I always ask where they daddy at. That's just, I understand them. I'm sure we all do. A lot of us do. We understand the importance of having a man in the house. It's just a different discipline, number one. Number two, he's a role model. He's going to handle things totally different with his child. Some may not understand. And what's troubling to me is, I like my brother Fame, but I can't sit here and call this man an ass. I can't call the daddy a D-head and an asshole and all of that. I can't call the man a bully. I can't do that. Because if I call him all those names, then I would say he's not being responsible. I watched a movie one time with Denzel Washington. And what was it called? I forgot what it was called. Somebody will let me know. But Denzel Washington held up a hospital because his son needed a heart transplant. And Denzel was willing to go to jail. He was willing to die. He was willing to do whatever he had to do. He committed a crime to keep his son alive. Let me ask you, are any of you parents out there, John Q, thank you, Ron. Are any of you parents willing to do a crime or commit a crime to keep your kid alive? Not to keep them out of jail, not to keep them from getting suspended, not take a case for them because they stole some ho-hos or some ding-dongs out of the grocery store. I said, would you be willing to lose your life to keep your kid alive? Because you have to equate what this kid was doing online. You have to equate that as life and death. That's totally different than him acting up in the grocery store, than him doing some small petty ass shit. Are you willing to risk your life for your child? I am. Let's take another call. Good evening, caller. This is Wyatt. Who am I speaking with?
What up, Wyatt Live? This is your West Coast Connection, Drop Squad 52, also known as Black Not Democrat. Man, Wyatt, what's up, bro? It's Friday.
Thank you. What's happening, man? What's your thoughts?
You usually don't have a show on Friday. I was out walking while retired, and I got a notification because I was doing something else, and I said, let me see what that notification is, because usually I don't even pay attention.
Right.
And it was Wyatt Live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I'm glad I tuned in, and great topic, great callers, and I'm old school. I was born in 1960 in Detroit. Born and raised, and my father was a director at boys clubs back then, before they changed the name to Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
And again, everybody has their own way of parenting, okay? And if you were raised a certain way, 9 times out of 10, you're going to use what you witnessed or what you experienced from your parents to raise your children.
Right.
But the thing now, Wyatt, because I listen to all your callers, shout out to Fame Rothstein, and I know Fame is in his 40s. I know you're in your 50s, and I think the last caller, he sounded a little bit older. But my point is, everybody has a point. But the thing is, child abuse is a major issue. Okay, there was a time, especially during my time, parents would hit their children with anything. And we know anything. I got hit with a kitchen spoon, a wooden spoon. My father used to hit us on the hand with a, you know, the wooden hairbrushes that is in every black man's bathroom.
Yep.
You know which one I'm talking about.
Yep.
Got whooped on the hand with that. But my point is, I just want to add a little wisdom. And one of the byproducts of wisdom, Wyatt, is longevity. And just sitting back listening to your show for the last hour, I'm listening to the evolution of the Black family. And like you said, the only thing I had a problem with that father, because I took all these things into consideration that I'm witnessing as I get to my age of 62. And the only thing that I disagreed with that father was when he slapped his son with his open hand. That's the only thing, because again, we don't know a lot of stuff about that family, but to use violence to communicate could be detrimental to his son afterwards. And it's the same way with what Fame said about how he would have handled it. But the thing is, though, Wyatt, and I'm gonna wrap it up right here, I don't care what method you use, as long as you leave out the abusive part. Whatever method you use, you're not gonna know the result of that method until that child becomes an adult. So
I agree.
sometimes we do something, and if we live long enough to watch our child grow up and become a productive adult and have their own family, we're gonna think back and we're gonna say, well, damn, if I had done this, if I wouldn't have did that. The beauty of it is, Wyatt, is hopefully this father in that video you showed will have that opportunity to watch his son grow up and raise his family. And then grandpa can sit back and say, yeah, I taught your daddy that while they sitting there at the Thanksgiving table. Yeah, I taught you see that? That's your daddy.
Uh-oh. Did we lose you, Drop?
No, I'm still here.
Yeah, you just cut straight off on us. But yeah, man,
I'm sorry.
I agree. But here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever heard me say this on our show. I'm not an advocate of physical abuse to discipline people.
Right.
I don't do whoopings with my kids. I don't agree with whoopings. I don't think that you should put your hands on kids to discipline them. I think if you start at an early age, disciplining your children could be a lot easier. I'm not saying that my daughters haven't ever done anything that I should have whooped their ass for, but I chose not to whoop their ass because I don't want them thinking that putting hands on you is the way to handle this problem. I agree with all of that, okay? But I also understand what this father is going through, okay? I understand. Now, keep in mind, because I don't whoop mine, don't mean that I have a problem with people who whoop theirs. I just choose not to do it. I understand the concept. I don't, I ain't saying I understand it enough to justify it, but I will say this. I was just trying to figure out where everybody was with this. I wanted to understand the separation of opinion. Some people had a problem with the daddy because he hit the kid. Some people had a problem that he did the disciplining on the internet. You see what I'm saying? I had a problem with him putting his hands on the child as well, but I understood it. He didn't beat him in front of the kid, so you can't say he abused him. You could, physically abused him.
Well, Wyatt, you are an officer of the court, and you know there are levels to every single code, okay? So it would be, if someone looking at that video, they're gonna automatically say that's abuse.
Well,
it just depends on their position in which they're watching it. If they have to place judgment on that father to discipline or punish him for striking his child, whether it was abusive or not, the fact that he put his hand on his son in public, it doesn't necessarily have to reach the level of abuse.
Well, no,
It could it could be why it could just be that it's child endangerment.
right. Okay. If we're going to go to the court with it, we can do that. Let me just say this to you, just to make it clear, so y'all won't think that I'm totally justifying this. The man physically assaulted his kid. It would probably be an M2 in Cincinnati or in Hamilton County. It would be a misdemeanor in the second degree. Okay. And you know, all I can tell you, or M1, something of that nature. But all I can tell you is this: there's going to be factors involved. And what I mean by that is, look at what caused. Now, nothing can justify you hitting somebody unless you're in a self-defense mode. Okay, that's going to justify that. So yeah, he can get convicted of a crime of hitting his son. But damn, drop, don't we have to look back at how many times our mamas and daddies would have been in jail for disciplining us the way they did for the shit that we've done in life?
Hey, Wyatt, you are exactly right. And that's why I see things different, because I'm a 60-year-old that participates in social media in retirement. And social media is dominated by young people. So over the last couple of years, I see what they write. I listen to their posts and their points of view. And all I'm saying is, you're coming from it from a generational point of view. And I think the caller in between Fame and that last father that has 7 kids, he was a younger man. And see, it can go two ways. Why, if a kid is raised by the strap, when they get children, they may not use the strap because they got the strap. And then it could also go, well, shit, if the strap was good enough for me, it's good enough for my kids. But the problem is the evolution of child abuse and the protection of children, because we got some psycho people out here. What you used to be able to do, you can't do it now.
Right.
And that's where counselors and schools should get involved with the entire family, because everybody doesn't know how to do it. They just go by what they know. And some people don't know shit about raising children. But you got to give the father, again, like I said, Wyatt, the only problem I had with that video was the fact that he slapped him on camera in public. Right. So the fact that he did that in public, Wyatt, it also made me think that maybe this son is rebelling because the father whoops his ass all the time. So it's so many dynamics to it, and you know it because you just said it. In a court of law, there would be mitigating circumstances.
Absolutely.
But the bottom line is, it's a child. So again, I love what you do, my brother. You put it out there in the Black community. All Black voices matter. And I like to hear everybody's opinion all in one place. And that's what I love about social media. I like what you're doing in Cincinnati. And that, you know, shit, you're on YouTube now, so your shit is national. But before I go, if they could bring one thing back, Wyatt, and this was started through the court system, Scared Straight. You remember that, Wyatt?
I do remember it.
Man, they should bring that back for Black kids only.
Well,
Black children, male and female only, ran by Black officers, Black convicts, Black probation officers, Black counselors, period. Because these young people, they respond to what they see. So that's all I got, Wyatt. I appreciate it. TGI Friday. Everybody be safe in them streets. And if you're a parent that have young children out here, just communicate and figure out what's the best way to communicate with your children and your family. Drop Squad 52, dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Peace out, Wyatt.
Appreciate you, Drop. Thank you for calling in, man. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your time retired out in California. I'm jealous. I agree. I think Scared Straight might have done some things to some kids, but shit. I think I lost touch with the Scared Straight. I think I lost touch when I seen one kid. I think they should have never shown this one. It was an episode that I seen drop, and one kid went in there. He wasn't scared of shit. You know why? Because when he got in there, he seen his family. And that just blew me away. I just think they should have never shown that episode. It was powerful. It said a lot more than any episode of Scared Straight. For y'all that don't know, Scared Straight is when they take a group of troubled kids who out in the street acting crazy, and they bring kids into the jail and let inmates talk to them and talk about, yeah, you the one that, you gonna be mine when you get here, and tell their stories and all that old shit. Try to scare them straight. I seen one little boy walk in that mug. They thought they had him one. They thought he was gonna bow down to that shit. He wasn't scared of nothing. It was the most powerful Scared Straight I've ever seen in my life, because it said more than any of those episodes ever said. And it showed the revolving door and the baton that's handed down in the community. It showed that when you got uncles and cousins and shit in the penitentiary, you ain't afraid to go. Matter of fact, some people see it as a, I don't know, as a, I don't want to say a good thing. That would be stupid. But they see it as a mark of acceptance. I know some dudes now that be on me like that I grew up with. If they not close to me, we just grew up. Some of them be hating some shit like, nigga, you ain't never went to jail. But then, you know, some people mark that as being like, you lame. You lame if you've never been to jail. I don't understand where we get this mentality of thinking bad is good and good is bad. I know a lot of it comes from the music, and I'll stick on that. Listen, I'm not out of here yet. I just want to tell you one thing. Check out Emmanuel Livingston right after this show. Go to Emmanuel Livingston's page. Check out the afternoon experience at 3 o'clock. We'll be going over here in a second. But on Monday, we have King and I believe. I'll talk to E. We'll get that squared away. I haven't talked to him today yet. Monday, we do King and I at 3 o'clock on this channel and on E's channel and on YouTube. And on Tuesday, I got a very, very hot topic I want to talk about. Because y'all know we were talking about rap music the other day. And we were talking about Kanye and all them guys and who's controlling the industry and blah, 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 blah. Well, I got to bring somebody on. KRS-One is my favorite conscious rapper. My favorite rapper from back in the day. And he gonna blow your head. Matter of fact, if you don't mind, let me do this. Sorry, that's my killer 3-pound dog. Let me see something here. Let me see what we got here. Let me see if I can find this video real fast now that I have. Let me see it. I'm gonna show you a preview of what we're doing tomorrow. Hold on one second. There it is. I want you to listen to a portion of this video, and we're going to talk about this on Tuesday. What's up, babe? We're going to talk about this on Tuesday. My daughter just came in. I want y'all to listen to what KRS-One said about hip-hop and how we lost it. And then we'll have this conversation. And I think it's very important that we had this conversation. Check it out.
We didn't get the fame. We didn't get the Grammy, but we got the soul. What was whack about hip hop? The worst thing, 1979 Sugar Hill Records. This is the worst thing that ever happened to hip hop. When Sugar Hill Records came out, a woman named Sylvia Robinson and her husband Joey Robinson, they owned all of rap.
Okay.
If you could somehow phantom that in your head for a hot minute, there was one record label that had all the top rappers of the day on it, and no other company had that. Had we stuck together, black people would not be in this situation. They say hip hop is a $10 billion culture every year. That's black people money we should be having. But black people rejected us and lost $10 billion a year.
KRS-One really goes deep.
$10 billion a year gone. Whole dream of Dr. King gone. Take it up now to Sugar Hill Records. All the greatest hip hop acts are on the label, but they're not getting treated right. Black people are ripping off black people. I say this respectfully because I'm talking about our parents. These are older blacks ripping off the talent of younger blacks, respectfully. KRS, Scott LaRock, Boogie Down Productions, B-Boy Records. Black men are taking advantage of young black talent. B-Boy Records was owned by black people, older black men from the 50s and 60s. You would think, after everything we went through in civil rights, you see a young man coming up, he calls himself Knowledge Reigns Supreme. And he's trying to come up, he's homeless, he's in the street, but he's talking that blackness. And you see he got a crowd around him. And you see he got some little time, you're not gonna dust him off and say, yo, young blood, come on, let me show you something. Let me protect you. No, they were the first ones to come in, rip off me and Scott LaRock for the Criminal Minded album. To this very day, black folks still ripping me off for the Criminal Minded album. To this very day.
I was one of Jay's best earner. Anytime he needed that beat, boom. You know what I'm saying? So
black people are taking it, they're eating their children. They're eating their children. This is the worst thing to happen to not only hip hop, but to black civilization in the United States. Okay. Now those that are supposed to be representing their people have dropped the ball. Matter of fact, they didn't even drop it, they threw that shit in the garbage. Willfully. They didn't want no responsibility.
That's all I'm gonna give you on that. That's all I want to give you on that. I just wanted y'all to see that. We're gonna talk more about what KRS-One talking about. We'll talk about that more on Tuesday. Let me see if my man E, are you going on at 3 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm going on at 3 o'clock. I'm going on at 3. Yeah.
You going on at 3? What y'all talking about over there today?
Well, but before I did that, I had to talk to you, man, about this stuff that you've been talking about because I disagree with you. I think you read that whole situation wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
You go back and watch that video of the father slapping his son. Go back and watch it. And here's what you didn't notice, or at least I don't think you noticed because I haven't heard you really bring it up. That father slapped that son because of something that somebody else said. Go back and watch it. Of course, we don't see what happens long before that, but listen to what he's saying to the son right after the slap. He's saying, here is what happened. Here's what happened. Maybe the son was posing with guns, drugs, whatever. But what got back to the father was that somebody said, if your father ever do something to you, we gonna get him. We gonna get him for you. We got your back. That was what the daddy had a problem with. Because once he slapped him, he said, all right, now I slapped him. Pull up. What y'all gonna do now? His issue might have been.
I don't know.
Go back and watch it.
I don't know if that's.
Go back and watch it.
I know, but what I'm saying is, I don't know. I mean, you could have easily had got that from that, but because he slapped his son and then turned to a camera and say, okay, I slapped him, that could have been a whole different conversation before somebody said, if you slap him, we got your back. Or if you get slapped, we got your back. That could have been a different conversation. That could have been you think these guys got your back. I mean, I do that to my children all the
Wyatt.
time. I let them know, like, look,
Wyatt.
nobody cares for you like I do.
Wyatt,
Nobody
go-
cares for you. And if I say something,
Okay.
I might be like, and watch this. No, I'm not gonna give you this amount of money to go do something. See if they'll do it.
Wyatt, go back and watch it. Because
Uh-oh,
you
you
saying
froze on me. Go ahead.
that the
I'm
father
sorry.
was mad because the son was potentially putting his family in danger. But I'll tell you who was putting the family in danger. The father was putting the family in danger. The father's the one who said, pull on up.
Well, possibly.
We hear. He's inviting danger to their home. He's the one doing it. Now, because you keep saying, didn't we get snatched up when we was kids? And I don't really ever remember my parents snatching me up in public, but I didn't act up in public either because I knew they would. So that didn't happen to me. But I definitely don't ever remember my mother or father taking me outside because somebody said, if your parents do this to you, then we got your back. So taking me outside and beating me in front of somebody to tell them, now I'm beating him, what you gonna do about it? Because that's what that daddy did. And that was wrong. See, that's where I have the problem. Look, you can discipline your kids however you discipline your kids, all right? I've never been one that said 241 kids messed up, disciplined for our community. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I do believe in whoopings. I do believe in whoopings. Sparingly, if necessary, but I believe that they are a tool in the toolbox. I'll say this, my daddy never slapped me across my face. And he definitely never slapped me across my face because somebody dared him to slap me across my face, which is in essence what this boils down to with that father. Now I'm telling you, you go back and watch it. His issue, eventually his issue came to, I love you and I'm here for you and, you ain't gonna live this lifestyle, whatever. But that slap, that was about, oh, you think I won't? Let me show you. Now what you gonna do about it? So you punish your child because some other children punked you as a grown man.